Looks like we're ready, and it is 7 o'clock, so I will call the June 17th, 2025 meeting of the Whitley County Planning Commission to order. I'd like to start the meeting by asking everybody to stand while we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Nathan, may we please have a roll call?
Travis Baker.
Here.
Chad Banks.
Here.
Dane Drew.
Here.
Brent Emmer.
Here.
Jack Green.
Here.
Thor Hodges.
Here.
Mark Johnson.
Here.
Kim Kurtz-Setzler.
Here.
Joe Wolf.
Here.
And John Wood-Manzi.
Here. Thank you, Nathan. Next item is the previous meeting's minutes. Those are from May 21st.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Second. Travis, second. Since we have a motion and a second, I'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Travis Baker.
Aye.
Chad Banks.
Yes.
Dane Drew.
Aye.
Jack Green.
Yeah.
Thor Hodges.
Yes.
Mark Johnson.
Aye.
Kim Kurtz-Setzler.
Aye.
Joe Wolf.
Aye.
And Brent Emery.
Yes. Thank you, Nathan. The next item is an oath to witnesses. Anybody that wants to speak on these petitions for or against them will have that opportunity tonight. There's just one requirement, and that is that we ask that you do take an oath. So I will let our county attorney handle that.
Will you please stand and raise your right hand if you plan on speaking tonight? Do you swear or affirm that any statements you make before the Plan Commission tonight will be the truth? If so, state I do. I do. You can be seated.
Thank you. We do have one item of old business this month, so we will get to that first. 25W Rezone 2 out for Kerry and Judy and Dunfee. Rezoning from AG to RR, and I will turn the floor over to Nathan to discuss that, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. So moving to the slides here. Rezone 2 is a rezoning from AG to RR of approximately 3.5 acres located on South 700 East in Jefferson Township. It is part of Lot 2, or it is Lot 2 of the Wagner subdivision, which was recorded a couple years ago. Wagner subdivision was a 2-lot subdivision. Basically, that was the number of lots that they could plat under the then current and still current rule of maximum of 2 platted lots without triggering the need for rezoning. The petitioner wants to proceed with splitting that Lot 2 to create a third platted lot, which triggers the need for rezoning it out of AG. You can see there in the table the current surrounding uses. Zoning is AG on the north, south, and west. To the east, though, is RR with 2 different subdivisions, Westfield Passage, as well as a smaller Burris Estate subdivision. And then I believe there's an unplatted residence in there, also zoned RR. That zoning took place a couple years ago as well, reflecting that major plat, that major subdivision. The subdivision has been there quite a few years. The zoning came kind of after effect. So here is the aerial view showing, highlighted in blue, the property in context of several, about a mile radius on either side. Closer view, you can see the house that's been constructed at the north end. What would be proposed is to split this property approximately in half. Subdivisions and lots are shown here. Subdivisions are highlighted in purple. So you can see that we do have as mentioned, Westfield Passage, the smaller one, and then a couple of more historic subdivisions. Actually, this one's more historic, older. This one's a little bit newer, out along 800 East. And then for reference, we do have the zoning map here. As I said, the light yellow is RR existing immediately to the east across 700 East. Virtually everything else is AG. The darker green is AGP, and this area down here is our PUD that had been done for the Joseph DeQuee property. Is that 2 years old now?
Yeah.
Relatively recently. So again, though, most of the area is already zoned AG except for what's immediately across the road. Looking at the future character and land use map from the comprehensive plan, we're looking, of course, down at Jefferson Township, and in that red circle is where we are. This is solidly within the mixed rural designation that we applied for, or applied to, primarily the eastern 2-mile tier of Jefferson Township. As a reminder, mixed rural is intended to allow for both continued agricultural operations, but also recognizing that it is an area of growth over the next 15 to 20 years. And so some reasonable growth should be expected. What that actually looks like is dependent upon each case, each site, but proposals for development near utilities or near existing development would be your primary considerations typically. Primary uses for reference. Looking at the criteria for rezoning, I won't go into this too terribly much. I just mentioned the comprehensive plan. This as a platted lot and as an extension of that existing RR zoning could fit in with the comprehensive plan's mixed rural, maybe not, depending on whether you focus more on this being close to an existing development or whether you focus on the fact that this isn't on utilities. It's close to, but it's not actually on utilities yet. Current conditions and character, this would be another residence in an area that's already already has numerous residences, both farm and standalone residences. Again, responsible growth and development. I mentioned the proximity to, but not going to be connected to utilities, and highlight that for you. And then finally, public health, safety, and welfare. Again, having continued septics in areas that we would expect some development, or depending on the area, more development. May not be ideal, but again, this is one house, one lot that we'd be looking at. So I feel like this could go either way depending on whether you feel strongly that this is close to existing development, or again, whether it's close to but not attached to utilities. We've discussed those two things quite a bit during other cases before as well. So any questions for me at this point?
Nathan, refresh my memory, because I think, didn't this also come up before the BZA at one point about this being possibly put onto sewer?
I don't believe so. No, not this property.
I thought, because they said it was within 300 feet of the sewer line.
The BZA would not be looking at that.
Unless it was us. I'm not sure.
Yeah, the health department and health code requirements are what dictate the 300 feet connection. So it may have been dealing with that. We have dealt with similar ones where they were looking at smaller lots and close to utilities. That may be what you're thinking of. Kind of similar, but I'm not remembering this one being up for variance. I will double check though while we're listening to the petitioner.
Nathan, are Burris Estates and Westfield Passage subdivisions on sanitary sewers?
Westfield Passages, I believe at least a handful of the lots in Burris Estates are through Westfield Passage, but they're getting it from the backside, not from the roadside.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Nathan? I'm going to open up public comment here, but before we do that, I'll just issue one reminder. We like to have everybody state their name and address before you start speaking, and if we can do that, that just helps us keep a clean record. So I'll ask that the petitioner at this time comes to the podium and speaks about your project, please.
Good evening. My name is Kelly Moore. My current address is 7814 Fibia Place, -92, Fort Wayne, Indiana, 46818. We are in Donatello's Village. I am requesting to rezone the subject property from ag to residential. The intent is to make the property available for residential development. In addition, this property will allow us to build a home that is specifically designed to accommodate my family's health needs. This house would be beside my parents. My mom and dad are both aging, as we all do. My mother is in a wheelchair and needs assistance. My husband is also an amputee. This would allow my husband and I to not only help my parents, but help provide an accessible home for him to live in and support his comfort, mobility, and independence. This project is both a personal and practical investment in our family's future. And to the west of where we would build is family across the street. My grandparents built that house in 1939, I believe, that my Uncle Jim Wagner owns, and he is directly to the west or behind us if we were to build. And then past him is my mom's older brother, and then the church is across the street where we have gone our entire lives. So I would like to be out beside my family. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you have any questions for me?
We'll find out here in a second. Okay, I didn't hear any. So at this time, I'll open up public comment. Any comments for or against this petition? The podium is available. Seeing nobody, I will close public comment and turn the floor back over to the Planning Commission.
Make a motion to recommend the commissioners for a positive pass for this.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask Nathan to go to a roll call vote, please.
Sure. Mr. Baker?
Aye.
Mr. Banks?
Aye.
Mr. Drew?
Aye.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Hodges?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. Kurtz-Setzler?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
And Mr. Emery.
Yes. So that motion passes unanimously. You're free to take off or stay for the rest of the meeting. So. Moving on to new business. Let's start with 25W Subdivision 8, William Nicodemus. Here we have a staff report, please, Nathan.
Sure thing. So going to these slides then. This subdivision 8 is a one-lot subdivision to be called Pat Spot. Current address is 2395 North, 350 West, in Richland Township, currently zoned AG Agricultural. What is being proposed is to split the existing home site away from the tillable acreage. The plat includes the dedicated right-of-way. Platting's due to previous splits from the 1979 parcel. This is the first platted lot from the 2018 parcel, so no rezoning is required, as we just did with the previous case. One note, though, is that the remaining acreage can be left unplatted, but only if it's used for agriculture. It's exempt from platting because it's over 10 acres in size, but the exemption is 10 acres and used for agriculture. So that leads into one of the conditions that I have later. You can see there on the table that the zoning code minimums are met. For reference, the overall parcel is highlighted in blue. The proposed plat, not quite square, but pretty darn close. And then the proposed plat overlaid on the existing parcel. I am suggesting these three conditions. Number one is that the remaining acreage have a deed restriction that makes it for agricultural use only unless otherwise approved by the Plan Commission. So if they want to make it into a building site, they have to come back before you for a platted lot. Soil testing still needs to be done for a second septic site for the house lot. They do have an existing site, of course, for the house, but they need to have a second one because this was a platted lot. And then number three is the standard delegation of secondary plat approval that we use for minor plats. Any questions for me?
I don't hear any questions, Nathan. Thank you. This time I'll open the podium up to the petitioner to come speak about this request.
William Nicodemus, 2400 North, 450 West, Columbia City. One question I got about what he was showing about the septic. I hadn't heard anything. What is that?
What that is the health department has requested that you get soil testing for a second site that's to be used just as a backup location. And then that'll go on record with the health department so that it can be referenced whenever the current septic system fails, just as a backup.
Okay. So what it is it was my dad's place, existing house and everything there. And we just want to take it off the ag so my daughter can take over the house. The rest of it, we're going to keep as farm ground. And that's all that I have.
Any questions for Mr. Nicodemus? I don't hear any. Thank you. This time I'll open the podium up for public comment for or against this petition. Don't see anybody to come forward, so I will close the public comment and turn the floor back over to the commission, please.
I'll make a motion to approve 25W subdivision 8 with the 3 conditions listed by staff.
Second.
Dane seconded. We do have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I will ask for a roll call vote, please, Nathan.
Mr. Baker.
Aye.
Mr. Banks.
Yes.
Mr. Drew.
Aye.
Mr. Green.
Aye.
Mr. Hodges.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Ms. Fritz-Sessler.
Aye.
Mr. Wolf.
Aye.
And Mr. Emmerich.
Aye. That motion also passes unanimously. Moving on to next item on the agenda, 25W subdivision 9, Jonathan Bransfield. I'll ask Nathan for your staff report on this one, please.
Thank you again, Mr. President. So this is also a minor plat to be called Bransfield Acres. Replat of lot number 1 is what was originally submitted The recorder's office requested to simplify that just to Bransfield Acres replat because there is only lot 1 of the current Bransfield Acres. Address is 3311 West 450 North in Etna Troy Township. Bransfield Acres was platted last year. Since then, a house has been constructed at the north end of the property, and the petitioner is seeking to split the property for an additional building site. He can give a little bit more details on the purpose for that. The right-of-way was previously dedicated with the existing Bransfield Acres, so no additional right-of-way is being required. You can see there that the zoning code minimums are met. Highlighted in blue is the overall subject parcel. There is an existing pond which is shared with the parcels to the west, and that was discussed with the Bransfield Acres plat last year. A little bit closer view for reference. This is from Google. Google actually got aerials that were flown in March of this year, so you can actually see the location of that home there on the north side. Has been built since the 24 aerials were shot. So this is the proposed plat. Again, lot number 2 is the lot that would go around the existing home. Lot 3 is what's labeled there, would be their balance. The recorder's office, actually the parcel committee generally recommends keeping lot 1 for the northwest lot and calling what is shown as lot 3, calling that lot 2. It just makes things simpler because there would still be lot 1 around the house as it is now. Reduces confusion in the future and right now. So this would be the overlay of the plat over the existing parcel. And again, you can see how the pond comes into play and is on both lots. So the proposed conditions: modify the plat title and lot numbering as suggested by the Parks Committee. And number 2 is delegation of secondary plat to staff. Any questions for me?
Doesn't look like it, Nathan. Thank you for that. This time I'll ask the petitioner to come up and tell us about your request this evening.
My name is Jonathan Bransfield, 3311 West 450 North is a property. I live at 8919 Strathmore Lane in Fort Wayne. Originally was going to build a mother-in-law suite and get permission for that and then build my dwelling. But just for banking purposes, I found out that that's not possible as I'm all new to this, so I have to split it to be able to mortgage it basically on both if I need to. And my parents are going to live on the first one that we're building until they perish, and then after that, either I would sell off the lot or rent it, either one. And then my property is going to be further back on the other side of the pond is where I'm going to build on the other property. I have no other plans for the property except some kind of ag purposes. Is there any questions?
I don't hear any. Thank you. Podium is now open to the public. Anyone that wishes to speak for or against this petition can do so now. See nobody coming forward, I'll close the public comment and turn the floor back over to the Planning Commission.
I move to approve 25 West Subdivision 9 with recommendations of staff.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will ask Nathan to read a roll call vote again, please.
Mr. Baker.
Aye.
Mr. Banks.
Yes.
Mr. Drew.
Aye.
Mr. Green.
Aye.
Mr. Hodges.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Ms. Setzler.
Aye.
Mr. Wolf.
Aye.
And Mr. Emmerich.
Aye. Thank you. That motion does pass unanimously. Next item Number 4 is a rezoning. 25W rezone -3 is H&W property management. May we have a staff report, please, Nathan?
Oh, I think you can. That's what I'm here for. So Rezone 3 is an area of just over 16 acres located at the northeast corner of US 33 and 650 East in Smith Township, currently zoned IPM Industrial Park Manufacturing, which was zoned in 1998 to accommodate a propane distribution facility. That went out around 2015, 2014. Became a laydown yard for a utility contractor for a number of years. The current owner acquired it, has been using it basically for storage. The petitioner wishes to acquire this and relocate a couple businesses that he has in Churubusco, notably a lawn equipment sales retailer, and then also cabinet shop. Retail is a permitted use of GC, general commercial, but not IPM. The cabinet shop, being both manufacturing of cabinets as well as a retail front, could go either way. So that's not really the defining factor. The lawn equipment sales defines the need to zone this commercially. It's actually called out in the permitted uses of GC. There in the table is the surrounding zoning and uses. We have AG, GC, manufactured home park, and all in that proximity. You may also recall that to the southwest, only a few months ago, we looked at a nearly identical rezoning from IPM to GC for a religious institution there. This is not for a religious institution, but it is, again, downzoning the opposite corner. Highlighted in blue is the subject property. This is from 2024, I believe right about the time that the current owner took possession of it. A little closer view here, you do have some existing, an existing business here. That's the Edwin Co. Distillery, and then you can see the manufactured home park over on the east edge, and then up here, the church that I mentioned is located down here. Subdivisions in the vicinity, actually have a number of them there. And then the zoning map showing the different zonings that are in place. We do have, again, a large acreage to the southwest, zone GC commercial now. The orange is the manufactured home park, and then AG is the green across the rest of the property area. Character and future land use map. This is in mixed rural. You could probably say that's pretty solidly mixed rural, although it is getting closer to the edge. It's only about a quarter mile to a half mile from the western edge, depending on how you look at it. But still in this area that we've called out for existing development, existing ag, probably still going to see some development happening. Important for this particular request is that that character type anticipates some local scale commercial and retail. And so whether this particular request for commercial as opposed to industrial fits in with that comprehensive plan recommendation is something to consider. Is lawn equipment sales local scale? Is cabinetry, cabinet sales local? Based upon what the petitioner is suggesting, it's going to be small scale, but is that really what you would think of as fitting into this character type overall? So I could say yes, I could say no. Again, it depends on your perspective. I'm just bringing this up for your consideration. So going into the rest of the criteria here, I already mentioned the surrounding land uses. Just jumping down to responsible growth and development. This is not currently on sanitary sewer. We do oftentimes look at sanitary sewer as a consideration for what is appropriate for more intense development. However, the petitioner has indicated that he is in discussion with the Blue Lake and Tri-Lake conservancy districts. This is kind of not quite equidistant from each of them. It's a little closer to Blue Lake, but the terrain may actually be more favorable for Tri-Lakes because of a couple different things. So he is in conversations with them to get sewer to this property and then potentially work with neighbors to also serve the large area. The manufactured home park, for example, does have some issues with their existing package plants. So getting them onto sanitary sewer may be ideal. All of this will take time. He's working with the health department on how that would look. But if this does happen, that would bring sanitary sewer to this property and potentially allow some additional growth, additional development beyond just what he's suggesting. It's still 16 acres. It's still going to be zoned general commercial. You're not going to be looking at a residential subdivision, for example, but you may be looking at some other smaller businesses. Again, if that's in character and what you expect to see here in that character, that may be very appropriate. If you feel like that may be too much intensity, then it may not be. There are other things I could say, but I think I've said them in the written staff report. So any questions for me?
I do not hear any. Thank you, Nathan. I will open the podium up to the petitioner to speak about this project, please.
Good evening, Wayne Gibson, H&W Management, Property Management, 120 South Main Street, Churubusco. Basically, obviously, we're very familiar with this area. Started there in 2000 with the old Pro Systems building. 2018, we bought Precision Sharpening, expanded it, brought on some product lines. The original plans were to buy that building. What I thought were the original plans, but the owners now want to split that up and not really, and I understand they don't want to sell the building. And so we bought some property adjacent, but our plans to try to give some more area to the business has required us to look at other options. At the same time, the buildings that I am in Churubusco, we have one of the big buildings rented out. We sold one of them. The other old Amber building is being rented out. Both of those folks want to buy those buildings, plus buy the building that we're in. And so what I'd really like to do is take Vision Woodworks, the cabinet shop, and Vision Homes, and put those together and have it by Precision Outdoors, which from a management standpoint really helps. This is a good location for, I don't know if that's any better than, Precision Outdoors is already on US 33, so it gets a lot of traffic. But this is a little bit nicer because we've got turn lanes and we're not going around the corner to get in into that. So that's basically, we just want to consolidate and to expand a little bit on what Nathan says. I started the due diligence after we did the LOI or purchase agreement was how do we attack the sewer systems that we want in there. And I've talked to a lot of people about that, and it seems that putting standard septic systems over the long haul just probably not would be beneficial for anybody, for the county, and for the density of the land. And with the problems that they're having in the area, the solution seems to be, do a short-term, few years pumping system that would allow the natural course of events to take care of the other sewer problems, whether that solution comes from the north, from BLCD, or a little bit more from the west with Tri-Lakes. I've talked to Blue Lake, and they're, as you all know, this sewer stuff is a challenge for everybody. and they have concerns of, you know, what does the future hold with what Busco's doing there? How does that tie into their district with Tri-Lakes? And I think everybody's really working diligently to solve these problems. And then, so my solution was to say, hey, let's just do this temporary pumping. That's going to work fine, probably cost a little more in the long haul for us, but I think it's a good return on being able to develop the land a little bit further down the road if we want to do that. The plans would never be to, I don't want, these are my neighbors there too, so it would be like-minded business, small, light manufacturing or something like that. I don't, no heavy retail like restaurants or anything. That's just not really what we want in there. I think something that would fit within the neighborhood. That's about it. Anybody have questions?
How many employees?
What's that?
How many employees for the business?
We have, right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 at the mower shop, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at the Woodworks Vision Homes. Now we expect that to grow some, but it's never going to be as many probably as we had across the street. I think we're up to 40 some at Pro Systems at one point. We did talk about it. Nathan mentioned the traffic, but we're not going to generate any more than that has been used for. Certainly not as much as the church or what we did as Pro Systems. And one thing that was attractive here is it already had the turn lanes. And then I have zero desire to ever try to get the state to approve any access. I want to go. That's the reason we did Pro Systems the way we did there. We don't want to be coming off of 33 with the traffic flow that they have there.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the petitioner? I don't hear any. Thank you. I'll open the podium up at this time for public comment. Anyone from the public may speak about this petition.
Good evening. My name is Delana Blanson, and I live directly west of the property. So I do have concerns about a district going in, 3 businesses. This is a chip and seal road, doesn't get much upkeep. Coming off 33, you kind of go down to the 4-way stop, and since several building permits have been given up the street, the increased traffic is coming from the street itself, and there's kind of a blind spot there, to be quite frank. Another thing I'm concerned about is water drainage. So I didn't bring the paper, but when we built our home, I think we were also given the permit in 1998. And Mr. Vanendale had his property up and going before our house was completed, and Pro Systems was put in also. Where I live, next to me is my brother, and behind our property was my father. He has deceased. That has been purchased by a family member. Up the street next to that, I believe, is Verizon or Frontier. Big trucks go in and out. All that tile has been broken, and there is a drainage problem. So what I'm telling you is when the drainage comes down, that would be Pancof's or Mr. Gibson in the future. That water pools and it comes across the road to my property where it perks, and we have had to put in an underwater drain. I have tried to deal with the county, with NDOT, with Justin Bush, our representative, with the chairperson on Jim Banks's Dave Keller, to try to get something done about this. It's really a problem. Instead, this summer we put in an underground pump. That is a big expense for a resident to put in when it's really a multi-problem. I was informed that we needed to have a council meeting, and then property owners up the street would need to pay taxes for a while before drainage could be considered. So that's why we put in the private pump. I just have concerns because Mr. Vanendale put in a great place, but then the electric place that came in They moved the land all around. That changed considerably the drainage. And then Mr. Penkoff bought the place and really cleaned it up. And actually, we privately, hired him, and he was very committed because he owns the land also. So I just have some concerns. There's residents there too. And we're bringing a business out. It is a little bit different than the church. That is a chip and seal road that has been kept up. The traffic that comes in and out there is not a daily basis. It's at the time they attend church or upkeep the land. So I'm just asking, what's the county think about the drainage issue and more buildings being put in and the land changing when it's already a problem? And what about the chip and seal road? I mean, these were trucks going in from Vanendale, but they were smaller trucks and it wasn't a huge amount of in and out. Cars going in and out. Right now it's kind of a center on Wednesdays and Fridays for family to exchange their children. But this will be daily business traffic. Any questions for me?
Is the tile that runs through your property a county tile?
The property, when I contacted the county, they said it was not theirs. When the state would not come out and actually look at things. What they told me it was private. So, number one, why isn't it county?
Nathan, can you bring it up, the county tile?
Yep.
There's certain tiles that are county tile, usually if they involve a lot of homeowners and things like that, or watershed.
Well, I was told from the county when my husband come in. Now, mind you, we've been dealing with this for a long time, and I'm sure he lost his temper. Okay, but he did say that ours was private down there, and so
the county does not fix private tiles.
Correct, and I understand that, but it's a whole road problem.
We're going to bring up the county tile and show you where the county tile is at.
It's not a problem right now, but it will be in the future if the land's changed across the street. Because I put in a pump. It's underground on my land.
I understand that because it's a private tile. So the orange lines up there are our county tiles.
I don't see orange.
Down at
Down at the bottom, those are the county tiles. So there is no county tile up in your area. So someone, whether it was someone before you, I don't know, someone put in the private tile. So that's not something the county's going to pay to fix. We can't charge taxpayers to fix a private tile.
I just said that. I understand that. What I'm saying is when I went to the county, I mean, the land is changed in 25 years. And it's been changed, and the lay of the land, there is a problem with drainage. There is. So we put in a private pump to pump it up to Eel River, I believe it is, which covers the Smiths, which covers Heiser's, which goes, I don't know, which with that tile, there's still water that stands there. But what I'm saying for me and my land perks. So the water from the entire road comes over what will be Mr. Gibson's, and then it goes under the ground, and all this side comes to my property. Okay, and there is now, since this summer, Mr. Pankoff who was hired, put in the pump.
What did Mr. Pankoff do to the property that made it start draining that way? You said they were
We
changing.
put in an underground pump. He dug under.
And that's what made your property start flooding?
No, sir, I'm sorry. I didn't say Mr. Pankoff did that. When we purchased the land, I think it was in 1998, it was said it was a no flood zone. But when we moved in 1999, there was a snow and a rain or a melt, and I can't tell you the exact days. It has been 25 years ago. But I called NDOT because it was so high when we moved in, I was afraid it would flood 33. And they came out with their equipment, and they had to do some kind of It was a metal head that got caught under there, okay? And it stayed in there until it drained all out. And they, I don't know what they really did. You have to ask my husband more. But that metal thing was in there until not too long ago.
And what's your fear now with,
There is a drainage problem
okay.
that has, I've done something about
Finish
mine.
my question so you know what I'm trying to ask, because I don't know if it's the same thing that you're trying to give me an answer to.
Okay.
What is your concern with Mr. Gibson on what he may do with the land that would reshape things to make it worse for you?
Water gathers on his side that comes to my side under the road.
Yeah, I got that part.
Okay, so if he is changing the land again, what's going to be done about the drainage? He's going to put in 3 businesses, I'm understanding from what I heard tonight. That changes the land.
When you want to address that?
Well, I commiserate with her because in 98, 99, I paid a bunch of money for Ty Gross to drain all this and to help it was Brownie's drywall service.
Who was my father? He's deceased.
So I talked to him and we actually, you want me to come up there and R here?
Yeah, that way everybody can hear you.
Everything that she's talking about true, except obviously we're not going to create more rainwater. Right now, what they did is, and I had to pay more money because we didn't make our deal before they did it, but they put new field tile on all the stuff that we're doing. And then they took a tile underneath the road into her system, and then they put a pump to get that pumped up because it's hard to see, but you can see how they're back. It's been horrible. I mean, that looked like Lake Okeechobee at times over there. And we even offered, now I sold that building and that guy wouldn't play nice from what I understand, to let Pancops come in and try to fix it because there's a tile that we put in around our pond, a brand new tile when we built the building that ties over to that culvert that comes across the street because we actually fixed that at one point, right? So obviously we're not going to create any more water. Now, Walkers are working on the engineering plans, and what they'll do is we're looking at the detention pond so that no more water would ever come onto you at a greater rate than it does today.
Retention pond on the land.
Detention, yeah.
Okay.
Now, we've got an interesting deal here. We've got a bunch of investigation to do. But honestly, what should happen, there should be a tile on the south side of her property going down to that open ditch past Heiser's because then it opens up really nicely. The problem is she has a low spot there and there's nowhere for that water to go because for some reason it's not getting to the south around the pond. But what's really, really interesting, and we're going to do some investigation, do you see that green area there with the hole on the southeast corner of that property? If you drive by that, it's a huge deep hole. And in my lifetime, I've never seen a ½ inch of water in it.
Right.
That thing never. And if you notice, the river is back to the north. So what we're investigating is actually where we put the detention pond. Gabe called me, Pancop called me the other day. He goes, Wayne, we ought to make this the detention pond because water would never, some reason, and he's wondering if there's some gravel veins going straight back to the river from there, right? And then part of our is, do we go ahead and put the detention so that there's no more water coming on you more than, obviously, the calculations, the amount of water that comes off of the improved areas versus natural absorption by the ground. But I mean, this is a very legitimate concern, and that's one that one of the first things that I was working on because in Arrowhead Ridge and everything we do, getting rid of water is like #1 thing that you have to do. So we're either going to go, huh? Oh, it's horrible. So part of it is I really don't, the obvious thing is to put a detention pond on the southwest corner would be beautiful there. It'd be adjacent. It'd almost be like a mirror of the Pro Systems pond. But that's some area I'd rather put tractors and mowers for people to see. So I'd rather that water not go there. We'd fill that in because there's a humongous pile of stuff back there that we could use to fill and make that a little bit higher. So obviously for us to get final approval from the state and the building department, we're going to have to come up with a good comprehensive drainage plan for that. And it may end up going back to the river from the back on the east side.
So you're very aware of the property,
Well,
and you've got
somewhat.
a plan, and you've got a plan to make sure or do your best to
Mhm.
alleviate maybe even some of the
Yeah.
water it's going towards there now.
Well, I was a little agitated, honestly, when the guy that I'd sold the building to, when this all came up, Pancops tried to get him, because they may have very well found something if they went to the south and you wouldn't have to put that pump in, and then you were actually going to put a tile, if I understand, down through, and then Darrell, I need to talk to that guy. He was gonna charge money and then he doubled it or something, didn't wanna play nice. Right, but honestly, the best fix for all of this is to get some kind of tile, and I would be willing to even put some money into that, because I gotta do something with the water, right? Is to get something from the middle of their low spot, a tile down to the river, which is the closest going along 33, but obviously then playing with the state to get those permits, and it's a whole nother game there that you have to play with. So, but anyways, yeah, Walker, Thor, that's what they're working on that plan, and we got to come up with what's the best. We've had some investigation, be cool. Unfortunately, the elevations, I'm wondering is, Nathan, can you look to see in that hole there by Edwin Cove? What's the elevation of the bottom of that versus where, and I didn't get your last name, I'm sorry. Blancett, Mrs. Blancett. What's the lowest point?
The lowest point there is
Yeah.
an 872, and the top of the hole looks like it's around an 884.
What is she?
886.
What is hers down there where that real low spot is?
It's about the same, about an 874.
872.
If I recall correctly, 874.
Right there, you can see her part of her pond.
Yeah.
We went for years and there was no water there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. When we first moved in and the state went underneath there, I didn't have problems until probably, I mean, it retained, but it drained.
It went down really fast.
Okay, and then I knew something was plugged under there again.
Right. What was that? You said 870 watt there.
874. About the same level.
So there's no remedy to go from there to there very easily. So,
Nathan,
any
As-
other questions for me?
as part of the development plan where you mention buffering, landscaping, lighting, and also some driveway concerns, is there anything about drainage that is listed in the development plan as well?
Yep, development plans always include a drainage plan and erosion control. Erosion control is a matter of convenience. We don't actually review that locally. It's a state thing, but it's all filed together. But yes, drainage is always a consideration, and county engineer and surveyor both look at those plans.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for the petitioner?
Just one comment. I met with Mr. Gibson. It's been probably a month now, Wayne, when we met, and everything that he's discussed tonight, we've discussed previously. So I know he's done his due diligence on this.
Alrighty, thank you. So the podium is open for any additional public comment. Any additional comments on this petition? Hearing none, I will close the public comment and turn the floor over to the commission, please.
I'd like to make a favorable motion for 25W rezone 3. And I don't know if there's any special requirements. I didn't see any.
Conditions? No, I didn't suggest any with this.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask Nathan for a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Wolf.
Aye.
Ms. Kurtzetzler.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Mr. Hodges.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Aye.
Mr. Drew.
Aye.
Mr. Banks. Aye. Mr. Baker.
Aye.
And Mr. Emmerich.
Aye. That motion does pass unanimously.
Okay. I will get that certified to the county commissioners here, probably early next week, so it'd be, one of the meetings in July when you see it.
Thank you. Does staff have any other business?
I do. Just a quick reminder that the upcoming fifth Monday training session is scheduled for Monday, June 30th, 6 o'clock. It'll be here where it's nice and cool. The tentative topic, it's still tentative just in case somebody has a better topic to talk about. But tentatively, it will be ethics, conflicts of interest, etc. So there's some important stuff for you guys as Plan Commission members to remember in terms of conflicts of interest. For the BZA members, ethics is probably, let's reverse that. BZA members, conflicts of interests are probably more tight. You guys as a quasi-legislative body, ethics more generally is probably more important. So cover all of that just as a refresher, and probably more importantly, address any scenarios or questions that anybody may have. So hold to about an hour and 15 minutes like what we typically do.
This be the same outline from about 3 years ago?
I think it was longer ago than that I last did a ethics training session, but it will probably be very similar because the rules haven't changed much.
Thank you.
So that was all I had, was that reminder. Anything for me?
Any questions? There's no additional discussion. I think the only thing left to do at this point would be to adjourn the meeting. Yay.